Hi, I'm Liam Killen. I'm here again today on Game Changers, where we investigate the careers and journeys of some of the sport and entertainment's most talented executives. Well, I'm here joined today with Leigh Taylor. Leigh, thanks for joining us.
Hi Liam, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the chat.
Fantastic. Leigh, can you please talk us through your early career in professional services and, those early days, how you did transition into sport?
Yeah, I went to RMIT Uni a long time ago now. Started as an auditor with BDO, who then Deloitte took over. So I got a bit of experience in the chartered territory. Jumped into industry with Amcor fibre packaging, of all places, a world away from sport. And then a couple of years there as an accountant, really, meat and potatoes month end and real standard finance role. And then I decided to jump overseas for a couple of years. So the standard 2 years, work for 12 months, travel for 12 months, based out of London. I feel like that was the opportunity for me. It might sound a bit funny, but in my role now as a CFO, that experience and the networking and the putting yourself out of your comfort zone was the one that I gained the most experience out of than standard finance roles. Enjoyed that time, came back home, landed a reporting analyst role with CUB for a couple of years, and then the opportunity came to apply for a role as finance manager at AFL, and was lucky enough to get that 13 years ago now. So quite a while in the sport industry. So the first role within the AFL was finance manager for GWS Giants, which once again sounds funny now that I'm at the Swans, and then a couple of states, so AFL Tasmania, AFL New South Wales. So a really good experience, and then was lucky, right time, right place, off the back of also hard work ethic, landed a interim CFO role with the Giants, sitting on the exec team at the age of 30, which was a learning experience in itself. So being thrown into a world where you're sort of linking the operations of the business to the strategic planning of the business, working really how a business collaborates together and all departments coming together and working closely together, being thrown in that setting and learning it from a leadership position early on has really helped with where I am today. Was there for about 3 or 4 years, returned back to AFL House, led the shared service finance department, integrated Marvel Stadium into the finance team, oversaw about 15 staff, dealt with about 8 CEOs in that role, did quite a bit of project work across the business. And then when COVID hit, I was thrown up to the Sydney Swans to help out and transferred across and haven't looked back since then.
Yeah, that's right. Change colours in Sydney as well. So, as you said, an interesting way to get your start in sport. But tell us about that early tenure at the Giants. I mean, how did that prepare you for the leadership role that you now have at the Swans?
Yeah, I think I look back today going, that opportunity, so grateful for an opportunity like that. Sometimes they just, circumstances work out to provide an opportunity like that, but also you've got to set yourself up for that through hard work and putting yourself out there. I mean, the major things I learned, it's the leadership qualities, which I think leadership qualities can be ingrained from a young age, but then you're also adapting and you're learning every day. So to have to put yourself out there across all departments rather than just stick within the finance department, I think that was one that came just sitting in regular exec meetings every week, getting the updates on the wider business, realising that you can be the connection point across all departments and bring departments within an organisation together, probably more so than any other department or role can do. I think that, and then also just how to ingrain the operational rhythm of the business into the strategic sort of outlook and the 3-year, 5-year wider planning that the business is doing at the same time.
Terrific. And On to the Swans. What are some of the unique challenges and responsibilities a CFO might have in a professional sports club like the Sydney Swans?
Yeah, I think within the AFL industry or sporting industry now, it's how to generate revenue outside of your football, outside of your standard football revenue. The industry is growing at a rate of knots. We're obviously dealing with broadcast deal, with new player agreements into the future. So how do you set the club up for future success? And other clubs have sort of had success with childcare centres. They've had success with gym arrangements. They've had success with education sort of partnerships. But what we've looked to do as a club is use what we've got as our OneWood, and that's our amazing training and admin facility that we were able to fit out and open in 2023, and then also utilising the key talent we've got across the business in all assets. So our big product that we've launched a couple of weeks ago, which has been based off a lot of the hard work of our COO and his team, is the Sydney Swans Institute. So it'd be silly not to me to throw in a plug there while we're doing the chat today. But it basically is a tailored program for corporate companies, for whether they want to do leadership days, corporate offsites, and it brings together an amazing facility to come to, and we cater the programs. They can have access to the gym and they can sort of set the day up how they need, but also accesses our key talent, so coaching talent, leadership talent, our CEO, our COO. So it's around high performance mindset, our data analyst, our strength and conditioning and physios. We utilise all the talent across the business to share our stories and our strategies that we've used at the Swans that have been successful in the past and are still today.
Yes, Sydney Swans HQ. It's one of the best in the city from what I'm told. So, very impressive new facility you've got there. In terms of financial sustainability, because that's obviously a big driver for any CFO, how do you balance that with the club's competitive ambitions on the field?
Yeah, it's we always revert back to we are a football club. So we are always trying to maximise on-field success, both in the men's and women's program. That's the playing group, but also the staffing structure and all the operations that go around that. But to do that, it takes an army and a whole club to be able to do that. So that is, you've got the football departments, but all the staff working in the background within admin, you've got the consumer team, the commercial teams. So it's linking all together to be able to perform our best as an organisation. And to do that at the Swans, we try and keep the strategy and the mission statements really simple. So there's mission clarity for everybody as they're working through their roles. It's consistency in KPIs. It's part of our sort of mission statement is as simple as being better tomorrow than you were today. So really just dumbing it down, and that then links into how are we developing our staff every day. So when you return home from work each day, have you learned something while you're working there? Have you bettered the organisation? What have you learned from that to take into your next meeting or your next negotiation? So always just getting better. And I think that approach, both off the field but also on the field, really hits home hard and sets us up successfully. And then from a financial viewpoint or the finance team viewpoint, I'm sort of going to throw in a football analogy here, but I sort of view the CFO of an organisation, and this isn't just in sport, I think in any organisation, is almost the centre half back, because you can see what's coming. You can, in that position, you can direct the traffic. You've got to be calm and assured under pressure, and you are the one that can bring all areas of the business together. So I'm always preaching to my team that we have a choice as a finance team, and you can either sit in the back corner and report on the finances of the business, or you can front foot it and you can be value-adding business partners, and you can collaborate with the entire organisation. It really is, for me, finance is the only department that has all areas and all access areas, essentially. You have the ability to get your hands dirty in all areas. You're sort of like weaving a spider web across the business. So it's really important you're bringing all the departments together when making business decisions.
Yeah, fantastic. And the Swans do have a famous culture, the Bloods culture. I mean, how does that influence your approach to financial leadership and decision making?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. Once you're in the Swans, no one ever wants to leave. It feels like a second family when you're at the Swans, and it's a great workplace to feel that way. That makes you want to get out of bed and come to work every day. And I think it's just with all staff across the business, going back to the simplification, if everyone knows their role and how they're value adding to the wider strategy, but then even the operational outcomes day to day, it comes back to sort of that, and it's a generic term, but sort of mission clarity. And to do that, it's setting up the right structures with staff, putting people in the right roles, having expertise in the right area, but being able then to connect that all together. And as a leadership group and finance assisting with KPI setting and alignment to the strategy, there's got to be consistency the entire way through the organisation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess moving on to, the advice, some of the advice, the leadership lessons that you might be able to impart on the next generation. So, reflecting on your career, what have been some of those pivotal moments that have shaped your approach to financial leadership in sports?
Yeah, it's a hard one to put, I suppose, one or two moments together to go that's shaped the way I like to operate, I guess. But I sort of, from a leadership point of view, or if you're how I best sort of feel like to lead the team. And it's probably what I've learned as I've gone through different roles and had access to great leaders and different CEOs within this industry, but also other industries. It's for me, it's all about empowerment of your staff. So you can go on by having a really good work ethic to start with. So you can obviously you lead by example, but then your staff within the team need to be feeling like they're developing every day. They need to have, so how do you empower them? Is it taking them to important meetings that they've done all the work for, rather than the CFO just taking their collated work and then presenting it to the board? So is there opportunities for staff within the team to present at audit and risk meetings, or come to board meetings, or present to exec meetings? And it's really about guidance, so them owning the decision, so giving confidence to the team that they're in the right area and they're making the right calls, and them just gaining that confidence as they go throughout their career. And not everything's going to be right, but it's all about having a crack and learning as they go.
Absolutely. So, speaking of, I guess, the sort of the learning curve that you've been on, some of the lessons that you've imparted, what advice do you have for aspiring CFOs who want to work in sport?
Definitely would, if there's an opportunity to jump at it, go and do it, because it's a great place. Sport is a great place to work. It's a lot of blood, sweat and tears, but it's well worth the reward. I sort of mentioned empowerment of staff, drive with your own work ethic, but the other one is just, as a leader, it's show genuine care for your staff too. So that is, your staff are going to be happy and most efficient and operate really well if they're passionate about what they're doing, but they're also got the work-life balance intact. So even as a leader and a CFO within sporting organisation, it's lead by example and show that you've got that intact as well. So there's times when you're going to have to dig deep, but it's also, at the end of the day, work isn't everything. So if you're happy in life, you're going to be happy at work, and you're going to perform at your best as well.
Rounding off here, Leigh, we'll have some rapid fire questions. So I'll throw at you 3 quick questions. Can you give me your favourite Swans moment?
I'd love to say a premiership, which we haven't been able to get there while I've been there. In the last 5 years, we've been close, but no cigar. I would say Buddy's 1000th goal. So Lance Franklin kicking that. I still heavily involved in the risk of the club, torn both ways between what a moment that will probably never happen ever again, and to have half a crowd run onto an SCG while the players are out there was also a little bit worrying at the same time. And we still talk about it today. We don't know what would have happened if he missed that shot, because the crowd was already running on before it left his boot. So I think it was just lucky for everyone that it sailed right through.
I have to stop on that. Were you there for that game?
I definitely was, yeah. I held off running on the field like everybody else, but the stories you hear, picnics were set up in the middle of the ground. 2 of our players were escorted out of the ground and onto Driver Avenue to then get back to the change rooms, because it was the safest way to take them through, because they couldn't get to the sort of set up meeting point that was planned. It was just a once in a lifetime moment to be part of, which was pretty amazing.
Will never happen again. And do you have any personal rituals or routines on game day?
I think I'll cop it for this one, but I've got a pair of Isaac Heaney cartoon socks that my daughter gave me, so they come out every game day.
I love it. And who or what inspires you in your professional journey?
Yeah, it's an interesting one to think on that. So I'd go, my 2 children inspire me the most in my life, but also from a professional point of view, just watching them grow and develop every day, and even being a parent to them, you're learning life, flexibility and patience, which then I think aligns really well from a work front. And then very hard to sort of pinpoint 1 or 2 people across the journey, but I will give a shout out to the late Ray Gunston, who I learned an amazing amount of at my time working with him at the AFL.
And one last bonus question here for you, Leigh. If you had a piece of advice that you could offer to your younger self, what would that be?
That's a great question. I would say my younger self, which I think I've in the middle of learning live right now, is just enjoy, give it everything at work, but enjoy it while you're doing it. So take time to sort of smell the roses. Just life's short. So make sure you're enjoying every moment as you're working your way through your career, as you whether it's changing roles or whether it's new opportunities or promotions within the same organisation. It's just make sure you take time to enjoy those moments while they're happening.
Wise words. Leigh Taylor, thanks for joining us.
No worries. Thanks, Liam. Really enjoyed it.